guys, welcome back to another week of Autastic, your comedian's guide to autism. A little behind the scenes thing. It's really two guys who have autistic loved ones, and then before the show we talk about life, a little basketball, a little update on our personal lives. My name is Kirk Smith, and my buddy and co-host
Graham K. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. Yeah, we're out there. You're on the you live on ships now. Kirk does comedy.
It feels
on
like I'm
cruise
living
ships.
on ships. Yeah.
Every time we do the podcast, you're on a ship. Even when you're in Brooklyn, which is where I live, and you supposedly have an apartment.
I have an apartment, you little jerk.
We still like FaceTime or Zoom or whatever, because you're like too exhausted to leave your bed because you just came back from like a 4 a.m. flight, and then you have to wake up tomorrow and the next day and go on to the Bermuda Triangle. So, Kirk's doing it though. He's gonna buy a condo and retire in Florida, and then it'll be swept away in the rising tides of global warming, and he'll have to live in my basement in Brooklyn. So, yeah.
Oh man, all that made sense except for if you only had a basement. But if you had a basement, I'm in.
No,
Graham
I'm
has
gonna buy a
very-
place. I'm gonna buy a place in the next 10 years.
I like it.
Probably sooner, to be honest. Probably in the next 3 years, 2 years, and
Ooh, I like
I'm
it.
gonna look for something with the highest elevation in Brooklyn. So
Okay.
when we get
Brooklyn Heights.
every 5 years, there's a flooding of this city. I'll be okay, and you'll be in the basement. We'll give you a air mattress, so when the water
Literally, not
streams
metaphorically. Yeah. An air mattress, I float.
When the water comes in, you'll you'll go up with the water, and that'll be your life. That's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting to think about, because your life savings and condo will have been washed away in Florida. So
Rude. Very
Yeah.
rude.
yeah, and you working your butt off on these cruise ships will all be for nothing. But that's okay.
I'll be for nothing.
'Cause that's-
And I'll be in the basement and just have to overhear you inviting over beautiful women all the time, and just I get to enjoy it secondhand. Just
hope-
you tromping around, pounding around up there, like clomping around. 'cause
Pounding
you're big
around.
man.
What do you think? I for God's sakes.
Your footsteps.
I'm an
Your
aged
footsteps,
man.
you ding dong. Your footsteps.
No, I hope. I hope.
Clunking around.
I hope I have a wife or a significant person by then.
So you've got a
Jeez.
wife and kids,
I'll
and
be
your kids
100.
pounding around up there, jumping around. I got to listen
Yeah,
to
they'll
it
be
in the
jumping
basement.
around.
My inflatable mattress. Terrible.
Yep. Don't wake up.
Terrible.
Don't wake up Uncle Kirk. He's
I
sad.
woke up Grandpa Kirk down there.
Yep. Yeah.
very
But you know
rude.
what? I'll
Very
give you
rude.
my points so you can go see JJ. You'll still have your little
Nice.
point scheme. You do still do your points game so you can see JJ? Or are you still doing your little... When
I'm
I
still
first
doing
met
a points
Kirk...
thing. I got to.
Well, let me tell a little story. So for our longtime listeners, you know this, but we haven't talked about this in years. So Kirk, when he was first starting out in comedy, before he was, making pretty decent coin on these cruise ships, Kirk, in order to afford to see his son, who is in a facility in Sweden, he's a good father, wants to go all the time. He had a spreadsheet with like 25, 50 credit cards on it, and he
Not
collects
50,
the points.
maybe 25. Yeah.
I mean, and he has like a manila folder with all these credit cards, like he's a spy. And he knows like how much money to put on them, when to cancel so it doesn't ruin his credit, and he's just flying around the world on points. Pretty fun, and like first class too. I was really impressed. He's like, "You can do this. This is how you do it." And I'm like, "Buddy, I can't. I will ruin my credit and go to jail if I do this. I will not be able to keep track of. I can't work a spreadsheet." So the things you do for love,
Oh man, it's funny. I still do that, and I just got another card this last week. Actually, I got a new Chase Business. Now I'm doing business cards because I run a business. It's stand-up comedy,
Yeah.
Kirk Smith comedy,
Yeah.
and Kirk Smith stand-up. I mean, And yeah, I got a new card. Going to see JJ next month. Very excited. Very
Mm-hmm.
excited.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Speaking of going to see JJ, I had a weird conversation with a fellow comic about just long-time listeners know JJ does live in Sweden, and for me, that's the best option I have for him right now. He's severely disabled, and the services for an adult who needs full-time 24-hour care are very limited in this country and very costly. And so through his mom, he's got a Swedish passport. So it was a really is a huge blessing, and allows me also to work and travel. And if not, I would be, not just not just unable to pay for it, but also, there all the time trying to help take care of him. And so it was a weird conversation where the guy made me feel kind of dumb, or I don't know if he meant it intentionally, but I don't know if people don't understand the severity, or they don't understand, the
Right.
um, the lack of good options.
A guy made you feel bad for putting him in Sweden. That, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Like he was saying that he should be
And
living with you, and that is
right, he couldn't get
infuriating
his
to
head
me.
around why does he live with you? Why doesn't it makes me feel a certain way, not great, obviously, and just like
How are you supposed to make money?
like a
Yeah, he needs
right,
full-time 24-hour care.
yeah, and he's got the epilepsy and a few other little things.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very interesting. It made me think, man, as much as I feel like autism education and information's come a long way, at the same time, I guess it hasn't. And that people still have these
Well,
preconceived ideas of,
he probably
yeah,
feels that it's a drain on the state, and you're shirking your responsibilities. And if you decide to have a kid, you should keep them at home and you take care of them because you made the decision to have a kid, regardless of what the kid turns out to be. And why are you letting taxpayers pay for your kid? That's a lot of people think that way, where they don't really understand that you can't. It's a full-time job taking care of people who are severely disabled. You
yeah,
cannot have any more time to go make money. So you basically are asking that person, hypothetically you, to be on welfare and ask for
right,
government handouts to take care of your kid, and then you're going to be in a worse living situation. The kid will be in a worse living situation. Both, like mental health wise, both of you will be in a worse place, and the you don't have the training that it takes to. I mean, JJ still has, like, first of all, he's made huge leaps that he would not have made if he just lived with his father at home in a basement somewhere.
right.
Huge cognitive leaps, and there is
That's true.
still a chance that he will find some sort of job where he can actually make his own money. Whether it's like working on like a factory line or doing laundry or doing something, or yeah,
Lawn
just
care or snow
destroying just
removal, yeah.
destroying or like recycling parts, like taking apart electronic parts you talked about, whatever it is.
Yeah, that'd be great too.
Even if he can't, fine. But there are tons and tons and tons of huge percentage of people with disabilities who eventually will, because they're in facilities like that. And if they lived alone with their parent who's on welfare in a basement, they would not. And they'd be more of a drain on society. So that type of
Am I
thinking
still in the basement
really
in
makes
this
me
in this
angry. You're
hypothetical?
always in a basement. Your life is sad, Kurt. Come on, let's go. Every hypothetical that I come up with, your life is in a basement. Kirk actually lives on a second or third floor in Brooklyn, but in reality, right
Second
now, he
floor.
does. But we're gonna have him in a basement. But anyway, yeah, that type of thinking is wrong. The facts are incorrect. It's not well thought out, and I think it's morally wrong. I think it's also insulting to people like you, and I think he needs a stern talking to. I think you need to give him a wedgie as well when you're done.
Now I got to give this other comic who's an older gentleman a swirly.
That doesn't
Perfect.
sound like a gentleman.
Just um,
Look, like it's true. It's there. It's I don't know. And the fact
It
that
is interesting
you talk to somebody who's like he does not know, like with our listeners and me, like we know what you've been through, like how hard it is, how many sacrifices you've made for him.
yeah,
This your wife made. It's
yeah,
so
for sure.
many sacrifices and the hard work, and he did live with you. He did. He did for
Yeah.
years and years and years. It's like, what do you want, dude? Like, what do you want? Like,
It is interesting that people feel so emboldened too to give their unsolicited opinions about that. That's always surprising too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, how's that? So that was a tough one for me. I have a new
Are you
joke I
gonna
did
talk to
last
him
night
about it?
about. Um, I mean, we talked about it, and he gave me his opinion. I don't know if. Let me
What
think
did you
about it.
say
I
to
don't know
him?
if it's worth. I tried to explain. I'm like, well, it's he needs medication for this, and he needs, if something happens, it's nice that they have a nurse on staff and they have this and this, and that's not something I can provide. I certainly, don't make the kind of money paying for it working on cruise ships. I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would take a lot more money, and I don't know if he understood, but I think you have to choose your battles, and as an older guy, probably late 60s, and I don't know if you can convince everybody.
You're right. You're right.
Mm.
It's also one of
I
the
had this
things about
conversation with
one of
another
the.
comic, another
Go ahead.
woman, another woman, same, almost same thing. How could, before she knew my situation, she was saying about how somebody had a disabled kid and how could they put him in a place and not have him live at home. When we were kids, we had a disabled kid in our neighborhood and he lived at home, and I tried to nicely. She's a nice comic, a nice woman. I tried to nicely say, yeah, well, every situation is different, and I don't know, the levels of disability are different, and in your mind, it was nice for him to stay, for that disabled person to stay in his house with his parents. Did his parents feel like that? I mean, they're doing the brunt of the work, not you from the outside,
Mm-hmm.
just judging. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a tough one. And I do feel like usually the people's confidence around the situation or is directly proportional to their experience with it. So like people that have more experience with it are very hesitant to criticize your decision, and the people that don't know what they're talking about, they've got all sorts of opinions, and they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never met somebody with a severely disabled kid who has told me, well, you should really. They just, they listen and they go, well, we think this, but nobody's. It's very rare for somebody to, be presumptive and presumptuous about, what you should be doing
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
solutions, and yeah,
It's like if that person had cancer, you wouldn't be like, well, you should keep him at home.
right,
It's like
right.
this is a disease. I don't
This is
understand.
a
They need
serious
help.
situation. Yeah,
They need help.
yeah.
What I don't. Well, you should keep him at home. All right. Well, I'm obviously more pissed than you are about it, so I'll drop it. Um, you're you're mature. I've had too many coffees.
I don't know if I'm
fired
mature.
up.
I think
Kirk.
I'm I'm disinterested. Yeah, I'm disinterested in
Yeah.
people's opinions sometimes. It's like,
Mhm.
that's cute. But how's old Peter doing?
He's doing okay. He's talking at work again. He got reprimanded. He lost a
Oh
job
no.
a while ago for talking too much, as our listeners know. And he got a new job, and we're like, okay, but you can't talk so much on this one, bud. And he was like, of course not. Why would I ever do that? Why would I ever walk up to people and tell the same story every single day about high school? I won't do that. And flash forward 2 months, 3 months, he's got reprimanded again for doing that. He can't stop. And so now he's like, well, I'm working better at it now, and they said I'm doing better, and blah blah blah. Like, so I don't know. We'll see. It's just I don't think he can stop. I don't think he has the ability. I mean, it's like almost like an OCD thing. Like he just can't. So it's up to the other people. You know, the thing is that the other people there need training too, not just him. They need to know
Right.
because I know how to make him stop. Um, I know how to be like, "Hey, you're repeating. I can't. We can't talk about that right now." And then he immediately goes, "I'm so sorry." It's like somebody having like someone daydreaming, and then you snap your fingers, and then they wake up. And you just have to train the other
So wait a
people
minute.
who
Wait a minute.
who work at that
You
restaurant
say.
that it's.
What do you say to him exactly?
I go, "You're repeating yourself again, Pete," and I go,
Okay.
"Peter, the repeater." And he goes, "Ha ha ha! Oh yeah, sorry." And it to a neurotypical person that is rude for you to say to
Got
them.
it.
But for Peter, he doesn't take it as rude. He takes it as a correction. So you know people, they don't want to be rude to him. So instead of
Right.
saying you're repeating yourself, they complain to their boss, and then he gets fired and loses a job.
Right. Right. Right.
So they need training to go like it's not rude. If you just politely tell him that he's repeating, he'll stop. He'll walk away from you. So
Right.
it can't all you can't leave the onus can't all be on the disabled person to figure it out, to figure out these very, to him complex social issues. So like social contracts that, we all signed and he wasn't aware of. He never read
Right.
the contract, doesn't understand the contract. So it's you know, and
That's
what it
interesting.
was.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that though. But I think you're right. The onus is not all on the disabled person. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But they, it's their first time hanging out with someone like that and being like, one on one, so they don't know what to do. And I that's fair. That's totally fair. But it's up to the job coach, I mean, what am I gonna have to do next time I'm in town? I gotta go in to this job and be like with my brother and be like, hey, just so you know, you can tell Peter to stop, and he'll stop. I might have to do that.
Right. Might not be a terrible idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not there till June
Yeah.
though. But like, I don't know. We'll see. We will see, my friend. Hey, should we do in the news?
Let's do it. This is a interesting one that good old Grandmo found because I'm living in the
Yeah.
basement metaphorically out here on the high
Yeah.
seas. The internet's a bit
Mm-hmm.
choppy, so to speak. And so,
Mm-hmm.
Grandmo, take it away.
You got it. This is from our old pals at Spectrum News, and this article is by Vincent Strully Jr. Um, the title is Private Equity Harms Autism Service Market. Private equity's track record with nursing homes and healthcare is littered with tragic examples of profit over quality, yet private equity, PE, has now turned its attention to special education schools that serve children with autism and other developmental challenges. The reason for the attraction is clear enough. Autism diagnosis rates in the United States have tripled in the past 20 years to 1 in 44 children. State laws mandate insurance coverage in a majority of these cases, and the decentralized autism service provider market is facing business pressure on many fronts. PE firms, in response, have gone on a tear of buyouts of consolidation. There have been over 200 acquisitions in the mental health area in the past 10 years by the likes of PE behemoths Blackstone, KKR, TPG, and Cerberus, as well as by many smaller firms. Blackstone is the company that's buying up all the residential homes in New York right now and a lot of other major cities and hiking the
Really?
rent. Yeah, they used to just buy like a building and then they whatever, but now they are buying apartments like residential homes, and so they can control the market, which is pretty sweet. Um, this will end badly is the next sentence. Because it has not it is not going well for middle class and lower class renters in New York. I will tell you that. So if that's a harbinger Anyway, so this is what this author writes. This will end badly. PE's need for oversized profits has already led to aggressive growth tactics. Soon, insurers will cut reimbursement, and eventually, PE firms will reassess the risk-reward proposition around applied behavior analysis, ABA providers, and depart en masse. That will leave autism service providers in a worse position than before. PE's involvement and children will bear the brunt of it. There are steps we can take, but we need to act fast. Private equity can be a useful way to provide capital to underfunded businesses, but that has not translated to benefits for healthcare. A 2021 economic analysis cited by the U.S. House of Representatives estimated, for example, that the PE-owned nursing homes, more than 20,000 lives were lost over a 12-year period. By PE math, at the time of purchase, the autism service companies are often valued at hundreds of millions of dollars, but PE investors typically want to double or triple their investments over 4 to 7 years, demanding a 15 to 20% annual return. For the kind of growth to occur within a fee-for-service model that autism service providers use, management and staff are presumed to cut corners to boost profits. Specifically, PE involvement can cause therapists to see double or triple the recommended number of children, and it can lead to overloaded supervisors, undertrained support staff, and cookie-cutter learning plans. PE-based centers also tend to overbill hours, shirking accountability, and decreasing transparency. In general, quality care is sacrificed to boost the bottom line. Attempts at rapid growth are failing, and the strain is starting to show. This is why Arsenal Capital-backed Hope Bridge Service, 3,000 children in 12 cases, is being investigated for unethical business practices and abusive behavior. This is also why SoftBank-backed LME, allegedly valued at $1.1 billion, left hundreds of families in 11 states in an uproar when they abruptly stopped service with reportedly as little as 15 minutes notice to some patients and retreated to just 3 states. This is also why the Blackstone-owned Center for Autism and Related Disorders, billing itself as the world's largest autism treatment provider, recently closed all 10 of its Oregon centers, citing unfavorable insurance payments and brought in an accountant as their chief executive officer. And it's why 360 behavioral health backed by DW Healthcare Partners, laid off 503 employees in California. These high-profile failures in PE-backed practices are the bad apples that can spoil ABA's reputation. When profit-driven decisions override ABA's best practices, the practice, the client, the family, and ultimately the whole perception of ABA is hurt. Not everything's going wrong with autism service providers can be laid at PE's private equity's feet, however. There has been a dire teacher shortage in the U.S., which has been wildly reported, and the case is even more extreme for qualified special education teachers. Consider this. According to the Behavior Analyst Certification Board, there are 60,000 board-certified behavior analysts in the U.S., assuming there are 2.5 million autistic children. That leaves 41 children for every BCBA, the Certified Board Behavioral Analyst. With an average caseload of 12 per BCBA, that is 720,000 children served, which means our current BCBA staffing is not enough to serve 2/3 of the children with autism. 2/3, Kirk, in this country. Let me reiterate, there is not enough staff for the shortage is being set against PE's powerful desire to grow, and it's making everything worse. So it should come as no surprise that many many provider chains seem to be ignoring the qualification requirements for their staff. According to a 2020 industry research, more than 20,000 therapy providers improperly claimed that a BCBA credential meant that's crazy. They improperly claimed a BCBA. They had to go to jail for that. Anyway,
Not great.
many dedicated licensed practitioners are overloaded, underpaid, and discouraged, and they are leaving the field in disillusionment. Disillusionment. Okay, I give up on that word. The pressure to meet demand is
Disillusioned?
being,
Sure.
yeah, disillusionment. The pressure is met in met demand is being felt by all practitioners, nonprofit and for-profit alike. But the PE-backed chains are categorically the worst offenders. They have reportedly put the bottom line ahead of quality. There are steps we can take. Government investigations and parent advocacy groups must expose the stop distributable PE practices. Insurers should consider a more holistic model of payment that focused on results over the service. Increased federal and state findings is critical, as is renewed focus on the teacher recruitment, stricter certifications, more intensive training, immigration policies that allow more qualified workers into the U.S., public-private partnerships to support autism services. The care of our children and families is too important to put in the hands of private equity profiteers, and the time is running out. So, Kirk, the time is now. We got to. I got to do something. I
like it. I feel like you have a new career. You could be what's that called? Like an advocate, maybe, or I don't know. You could dedicate time to change the system. I'll stay in the basement. You get on it.
Yeah.
Who would have guessed that getting private equity involved in caring for the disabled would not go well? Oh, I guess everybody could have guessed that. Yeah. It's not my favorite when they get private equity involved in caring for the disabled. Yeah, that's easily predictable. But I like the fact that they're exiting the business. That it's not. I don't think that's the solution. Getting private equity involved, have them making money off people's caring for the disabled. I think it needs to be funded. I think there needs to be funding for it. There's funding for a war in the Ukraine. We certainly send billions of dollars over there.
It's
so
just
there should be funding for our disabled people. Yeah,
we have. Yeah, it's any a percentage of money it would take. It's like crazy. It's just like for what it costs for half of an aircraft carrier, you could solve all of this. You could fix all of it.
So yeah.
Truly, and I'm not just that's not a comedian who doesn't know anything making up something. That's proven. What I just said is true. So, and that's something that directly benefits everybody immediately. Even if you don't have a disability in your life, you have it in your community. So
yeah, for sure.
There are people wandering my neighborhood who, if they grew up in my household, would not be wandering the neighborhood. My parents had good jobs. They had time. So.
Yeah, no, it's not to end on a downer, but yeah, I agree. Whenever we talk about, before the podcast, we were talking about a story that involved a homeless gentleman. And if there was better resources, there would be definitely less homeless people in New York City. That's for sure. It's a lot of mental illness. There's a lot
in the world. I mean, it's everywhere. It's like people think it's a New York and California problem. It's not. It's not. Just wait for.
Most of those people came from somewhere else. Yeah, most of those California people moved from Ohio or something. Yeah.
Just wait for the housing crisis to come to your town. You're going to get homeless people because it's trickled down. It's like, I'm middle class. I live in a tiny apartment. Who is lower middle class? They live less. And who's poor? They don't live in a tiny apartment anymore. They live on the street. And if they don't have, if they're like disabled in any way and can't figure out how to sign all the forms, and there's no help to figure out how to sign the forms to get them, they're on the street. It's like very, very simple math. And anyway, blah, 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 blah. Everything, things go in waves. We'll figure it out. And Kirk, I can't wait to have you in my basement, buddy.
It's going to be great. It sounds nasty when you say it like that, but I can't wait to buy my own apartment.
All right, guys. That has been our
Go
podcast.
ahead. Where are you at this week?
Yeah. You're going to be great.
Sorry,
You're going to do great.
There's a bit of a delay.
I'm going to be
Where are you at this week,
in
buddy?
Oxford, Pennsylvania at the Soul Joel's. And you can find tickets on my Instagram. Go to my Instagram right now at Mr. Graham K. Go to souljoels.com in Oxford, Pennsylvania. That'll be fun, everybody. Oh, this is a good one. Are you in Chicago? Do you live in Chicago? Because, folks, it's fun stuff happening. I'm going to be at Zanies, headlining Zanies, Chicago, April 12th. April 12th, Zanies, Chicago. Tickets are going to be available on my website very soon. They are available right now. If you just Google Zanies Chicago, go to that website. Their tickets are available.
I like it. That's a great plug. I don't know if I even talked to you about this, Grandma, but this next week I am in Israel.
Whoa.
March 9th. You can catch me in Tel Aviv.
Stay away from the West Bank.
Oh boy, I can't remember the venue, but I've got shows out in Israel. They'll be on my Instagram if you're in Israel. I know we have a few listeners out there. And then June is the next date I'm plugging, is Ottawa at the Absolute Comedy Club. Not June, sorry. End of August. Ottawa Comedy Club. Sorry. Jeez Louise.
Absolute Comedy Club.
That's it.
Well, did we do it, Kirk?
We did it. You could do me a huge favor and share my videos on Facebook. I'm trying to do this big Facebook push. Kirk Smith Comedy on all your social media. What's your other social media stuff, Graham?
Mr. Graham K, everybody. Let's do it. Let's go. Graham K Comedy on YouTube.
All right. Great. Let's have a great week, guys. You can do it.